So I just got done lifting and I wanted to check in with you guys on Friday to let you guys know how I'm doing with the challenge that Joe and I put together. So again, if you weren't watching last week, Joe and I decided to challenge each other to get in better shape. He gained a couple LBs over the COVID, and I didn't really gain much weight, but I just wanted to get in better shape because again, it's nice to have a goal. And so we decided to do a challenge with each other. And so we weighed in last week and we've made this kind of this dedication to each other to hold each other accountable. And I wanted to check in with you guys to let you guys know how I'm doing because he's already done his video as well. And so just to go get right into it, I've lost 1 pound, which again, I'm not trying to lose a ton of weight. I'm trying to lose like very little weight. I just want to get in better shape, right? And to have a goal for me is helpful. And so I've lost about 1 pound, which is good. I don't want to lose too much. For some of you guys that are like sometimes trying to lose weight, I think that some people want to do it way too quickly and they'll drop like 3, 4, 5 pounds multiple weeks in a row. And that's not a good idea. Sometimes you might lose a little bit if you really clean up your diet because of water weight, right? But a lot of times if you're losing that weight like consistently, a lot of times your calories are just too low and you're starving yourself. But I've lost about 1 pound. And then I also wanted to sort of check in with you guys each week because I figured what I would do with this series is instead of giving you guys like everything all at once, each week I'll give you a little nibble to chew on and we'll just kind of talk about it and give you maybe some ideas that you can throw into your own training. This week I figured I would give you guys a couple ideas on what I do for my leg lifts because I just got done lifting my legs and so I figured I would show you guys what I'm doing. So getting right into it, the first 2 exercises I'm going to show with you guys today are squats and RDLs. Now again, super simple exercises. Relatively, I mean, there's a lot of technique to them, but again, everybody's probably seen them. But I wanted to talk about why I like them for, again, as a grappler who's been training for a long time, who's had some knee surgeries and stuff. I know a lot of people in jiu-jitsu that like they run away from leg lifts because they're afraid of hurting themselves. And so maybe use this as an encouragement to get you to do them. So first off, squats. I'll be honest with you, there was a couple years where I thought maybe squatting was just not going to be something I do because of the fact that my knees would always hurt from them. And I had a couple surgeries done on my knees, meniscus surgeries, and I just like, man, squats are just not on the table for me. But over the past couple of years, I've gotten more and more into squatting, checking my form, stretching my muscles. And now I get to the point where I squat all day long. Like I'll basically, and I don't mean like consistently, but for instance, if I'm like at my desk for a while and I'm writing, I might get up and just sit down in a squat for a bit. When I'm cooking breakfast in the morning, I'll squat for a bit. If I'm waiting for the coffee to finish making, I'll literally just sit down in a squat and just sort of stretch everything out. And I've noticed that one, my knees feel better all the time. My squats feel better when I'm moving through them. My legs feel more loose and flexible and less tight. And so it's been a really good thing. And so I'd encourage you maybe just to, one, maybe get a coach to practice to work on your squat technique, but also just start squatting more. Just try squatting down throughout the day and get used to doing it on a more consistent basis rather than the only time you squat down into a full deep squat is when you're doing lifting like once a week for a few minutes at a time, right? And then as far as the lifting goes, you'll notice I'm using the safety squat bar in the video. And the reason why I'm using that is right now my left shoulder is a little tight. It's on the tight side. It's just getting over a small injury that I sustained actually during the lockdown. So it wasn't really jiu-jitsu necessarily related. So I'm just a little tight on the external rotation. And so again, having that safety bar squat handles where it's right in front, that allows me to get into a good position even if I have tight shoulders. And so if you have tight shoulders, you might like that. I also like the way that the weight sits with a safety bar. It kind of sits in a more, it's not directly on your back, it's kind of in a middle point. It almost makes me feel like similar to like a low bar back squat. And so it sits a little bit more evenly. So I feel like I'm more stable throughout the whole position. So I really like the safety bar squat. So if you ever get a chance to use one of those, I think it's a great tool to use. And then you'll see that I do the RDL, the Romanian Deadlift. And I like those. A couple details on the Romanian Deadlift. Make sure that if you use them, be very careful when you're lifting the weight off the rack. That's tend to where I see people kind of hurt themselves, and it's because they don't get into a nice tight position. So whenever you lift that weight off the rack, you want to be into a nice tight position. You want your lower and upper back and core to be tight when you lift the weight off. And then the reason I like the RDL, especially for grapplers in general, is because one, you can strengthen the low back, glutes, and hamstrings, the posterior chain. And the benefit of doing that is that jiu-jitsu, a lot of times we're always on our toes. If you ever watch people, I mean, we very seldomly get flat-footed in jiu-jitsu, like when we're on our feet, when we're moving around. We're typically on the balls of our feet so we can pivot and move. And so again, we're using a lot of quad, and typically people get very quad dominant. So it's a nice exercise to strengthen that other side of the leg. There's an eccentric stretch that you get in that hamstring, and for me, it's felt really good. And again, just from looking at a lot of jiu-jitsu practitioners, if you look at them, a lot of times they don't have large legs, and they have very like small hamstrings, very small glutes and everything else. And so it's a good exercise to help strengthen the back side of your body. And again, if you guys have low back problems, this has actually been a really good one for me because again, I've talked about I used to have a tight low back. This one was really nice about, you know, building the muscles and stuff like that the low back sits on. It's been really helpful to me. So again, try it. Just keep the weight low. And you'll also notice that in the training there, I don't really get very heavy. I keep the weight relatively low because I'm not looking to be the strongest person. I'm just looking to get good quality movement, keep my muscles strong, and then move through it. Now, those were 2 of the exercises. I ended up doing some other auxiliary lifts and stuff, but I just wanted to kind of show those are the 2 core ones that I've been using. And then I also got a question last week where a lot of people were asking about diet, like, hey Chewy, what are you eating right now? The basic idea of my diet, and I'll get more into this as we go throughout the weeks. I'm eating a high protein diet, high carb, moderate to high carb, because the carbs drop a little bit on days where I'm not training. But for the most part, it's a high carb diet, and I'll eat low to moderate fat. And the idea behind this is this way I can keep my carbs high to train really hard, proteins high to continue to build muscle, and save muscle as I'm losing a little bit of weight. But again, that diet feels good to me. I've tried several different diets. I've done everything from, I haven't done the carnivore, but I've done like a vegetarian diet before. I've done vegetarian with like eggs and fish and stuff. I've done high carb, low carb. I've done all that stuff in between, and I tend to fall back to this diets where I tend to feel the best for my training, and so that's what I like. And again, if you have some sort of religious, dogmatic association with some diet, that's cool, man. I don't care. Like this is what I'm doing for me. If it works for you, do whatever you like, but I'm doing what I'm doing. And again, just so you guys can see as an example, like I'm getting ready to eat this. I've got beef and protein in here, grass-fed beef and some white rice. And then I said beef and protein, didn't I? The beef is the protein, but I've got grass-fed beef. I've got some white rice in here, and I've got about 50 grams of protein. And I just got done lifting, and the lift session was pretty tough. And so I've got about 75 carbs in there worth of rice. And I'm also gonna have an apple to go with it and some veggies to go with it, some green sauteed spinach. And so that's kind of what I'm eating right now. And so yeah, that's kind of an idea. And again, I'll give you guys little bits of information each week just so it's not too much. And that's the video. So I'm done talking to you guys because I know I try to do these videos sometimes faster. And look, it's 7 minutes and 20 seconds. I'm so long-winded. I wish I wasn't so long-winded. But again, you guys are following me, so maybe you're used to it by now. But anyway, I'll give you guys a little bit of information each week to hopefully help you guys out. And if you have any questions about what I'm up to, put them down in the comments below. And I'll talk to you guys next week.